Hello! Yes, hello and welcome to the Werewolf Factory build. Now, I know there's probably some different interpretations that can be taken from that title. Is it a home for werewolves that's in a factory, or is it a place that manufactures werewolves? Well, I guess it could be either, because I mostly kind of built this in mind for the Wildfangs. So, you know how the Wildfangs mostly just all hang out around Rory's trailer? It's kind of like a decent home base for them, but I thought they deserved something a little bit nicer. So I decided to kind of build a home for them, especially since the Volkovs have kind of their own place, the Moonwood Collective. So I thought it'd be nice to build a little house that you could probably put Rory and Lou in to live, and then maybe even possibly make some other werewolves to live with them, because the Wildfangs as a pack only have 2 people to the name. So I definitely built this to accommodate multiple werewolf sims. I've definitely been in something of a werewolf build phase lately, just because the grunge aesthetic is so fun to play with and build with. And I kind of like grew up in an area that's kind of reminiscent to this place. So Moonwood Mill obviously is very pine forest centric with a lot of abandoned factories and, well, wood mills and the such. And I grew up in a place very similar. So building and playing on this world feels a lot like home to me. And there's definitely a lot of these abandoned factories in the place that I live as well. So it was kind of like pulling from my memory of things that I've seen before and whatnot. And obviously, Moonwood Mill has a lot of other abandoned factories in the area, so it fit right in home. So the main packs that I featured in this build were, of course, werewolves, industrial loft kit, basement treasures kit, and eco lifestyle. And eco lifestyle actually fit into this theme very, very well. I'm very pleased with it. So I'm just kind of like making a giant main center building in the middle with 2 additional buildings that seem to have been added on later. I wanted to put something of a fire exit, like a second floor access over here from the outside. And I'm trying to figure out the window situation a lot because as much as I like the werewolf windows, I feel like sometimes they're a little bit too small, especially when you're trying to do these larger build styles. And when I bring it up to the medium wall height, it got even worse. The windows look even smaller. And I kind of fought with these windows a little bit, trying to figure out how to get it to work exactly the way I wanted it to. Because a lot of factories will have either very small windows that are all very stacked on top of each other, or the much larger ones. And this is actually where the industrial loft windows were perfect for the build, which is kind of funny to consider because apparently when the industrial loft kit came out, they didn't include those windows or something, or it didn't include the window that was described in the pack or something like that. I was a little out of the loop, but it's kind of funny to think about now, especially since I'm using their windows quite a lot in this build. I especially like how these windows have different swatches for the same color version, but whether or not they're dirty or clean. It's really fun. I love it when objects have swatches like that. So I'm still continuing to fight the windows a little bit, even over here. I just really couldn't figure it out. Like, I wanted a lot of them, but I also wanted some wall space to be able to like decorate the walls a little bit as well. So I did a lot of moving around and deleting and trying to figure out what I liked, what I didn't like. And I'm kind of spinning around an awful lot in this build too, so I do apologize. I still have a lot of owl behavior, as I've started to call it as well, or owling, where I'll zoom out really far, spin the camera really fast, and then zoom in, and trying to decide if I actually like what I placed down or not. And I'm fighting with the stairs a lot too. I'm not very good at getting stairs to angle exactly the way I like them to. But I finally got it to kind of spaghetti around into the position. And I kind of was thinking about splitting this main building into 2 pieces. of like a main living space, and then upstairs I wanted an overhanging loft, for the industrial loft kit. I didn't use quite as much of that kit as I would have figured in this build, mostly because it's very clean in a way, I think. I feel like industrial loft is a lot more, I don't really know the word to use besides clean. It just doesn't have the same grunge aesthetic as what I kind of wanted to use, besides like the windows and the door, I think. So I did pop a little bit of a bathroom in the downstairs, and this is it. This entire massive complex has one bathroom. And it kind of looks like it was tacked on as an afterthought, because it kind of was, even in my defense. I was happy to use a lot of the werewolf stuff that I haven't done before, like all of the factory doors, the metal stairs and railings and stuff like that. And I kind of went back and forth between if I wanted to make them kind of brown and rusted, or if I wanted to keep them the bright color, because in factories, staircases and railings and all that stuff tend to be painted very bright colors. In my experience, they're usually like a bright yellow, but I really liked the blue, so I kept them blue. And the blue actually really helps in this whole build. It kind of adds a bit of a color splash amongst all this drab and gray, especially now that I've popped down the wallpaper. Yeah, the whole thing is just that gray stone, and I like the little warning yellow bit that kind of adds a bit of color in as well. And I love these werewolf roofs that are kind of like the metal ones we got in Eco Lifestyle, but more messed up. The more grunge and like destroyed, abandoned furniture we get in this game, the happier I am. Now with the roof, I also fought a whole lot. See, I didn't have like a very good reference for this besides like a couple pictures and things that I've seen before. But so I was kind of like fighting a lot with what I wanted. I wanted to add like the big ventilations and stuff like that, and I kind of like added in the idea of the solar panels last because I was using so much Eco Lifestyle. I was like, oh, what if I actually put in a lot more of the self-sufficiency from there? Like obviously self-sufficiency might be more of a Moonwood Collective thing, but I thought the Wildfangs could also kind of take a tackle at it, but maybe in their own direction. And obviously all the stuff from Eco Lifestyle felt very perfect and in line with what I could see the Wildfangs living like. I did end up having to add Get Together into this pack because it was the only pack that had the circular chimney. I fought with the chimney quite a lot. I cut out so many different chimney variations I tried to do. I tried building my own chimney, and I just was never happy with the results. So I opened up how many packs I was filtering by, and then I found that one, and it was perfect. Now, as you can see, I put a werewolf door up here for the rooftop access, and there's a bit of a funny story with this. So you know how sometimes Sims will just wander onto your lot, even though they're not invited or something like that? I don't know what happened, where or when or how, but in the middle of me playtesting this build, I went up to the rooftop to like take care of the plants and stuff like that, and Agnes Crumplebottom was up there, just up there. She was sitting in one of the chairs that I put up there, and there was like puddles around. She was stinky, she was angry, and I'm just like, how long were you up there, girl? Like, she obviously was up there long enough to have bladder failure and then to be starving. And I couldn't cheat to have her go home because the only door to access the rooftop was the werewolf door. Like, that's it. There is no other way to get up to that roof. And somehow she found her way up there. So I ended up having to swap out the door briefly just so I could tell her to get out and then swap the door back. And to this day, I don't understand how she got stuck up on the roof. I didn't even invite her over. She wasn't even a guest at any point. I still think it's funny how Sims will just end up in places they're not supposed to be. So at this point, I'm trying to landscape a little bit, add some decorations to the outside, and I'm adding a lot of debug items. And a lot of the debugs in Werewolf pack seem to be a crossover with what you see in Eco Lifestyle as well, which kind of just adds to how much these two packs really have in common. So I'm adding like a little bit of like clutter and garbage to the build. Even though this place is mostly cleaned up and livable, it still has like a little bit of trash and things that aren't quite as clean as what they should be yet. So, yep, just going through, placing a bunch of debug items, and I tend to go back and forth a lot with what I like. So, I have to cut out so much menuing because I don't actually know where a lot of stuff is. So, an unfortunate amount of my building time is just browsing the catalog. I love those ivies, though, that are also in the debug menu. I don't think they're in the usual landscaping. I think they're debug only, but those little ivies that look like they're growing outside of from the building are some of my favorites to use now. They're really cute and they're perfect. Adding a little bit more rooftop access stuff, a little bit of planters and some water catching. And like I said, I know the whole planting stuff might be a bit more of a Volkov thing, but you know, it doesn't have to be restricted to them. It's not like they own gardening or anything like that. And I thought that if I was going to do some eco lifestyle, I might as well put places for them to grow juice fizzing ingredients and stuff like that, because I kind of wanted them to do juice fizzing. And I also popped a recycler out back near where all the trash pile is. I kind of conceptualized that the trash pile is all around the recycler because they're kind of like in the process of cleaning up this place, but they're not quite done. So they've just been kind of like hoarding and moving all the garbage over by the recycler, kind of like we'll get to it later. So this side building over there, I'm kind of putting a little bit of like the actual eco lifestyle stuff for the juice fizzer and the candle maker. I'm adding a lot of Rory's favorite outdoor stuff over here with the giant fire pit full of furniture and of course the workout machines and stuff like that. I did pop down a little bit of a bar. I kind of struggled to fit certain things in this build that I wanted to use. Despite the size of this building, I still feel like it didn't quite get everything I would have wanted in it, but maybe that's a good thing. Sometimes making builds too big can be a problem. And this one thankfully stayed relatively good in like its performance area. I know a lot of times when builds get too big or they have too much clutter, performance can struggle, but thankfully during my playtest of this, I didn't really have any performance issues at all. And I decided to move all the trash from the front yard into that back little crevice, kind of like they're hiding it a little bit, like shoving something under your bed or in your closet. It's just kind of in the back. Don't look at it. It doesn't exist. And I kind of made this front area look a little bit cuter. More of these debug flowers that are super adorable. And then just making sure there's no clipping into the building. And now I'm going to start furnishing the inside. I wanted this main big open space to be kind of like a communal living area. Like, so a lot of seats and everything's kind of haphazardly kind of strewn around. Alt placement really came in clutch for this whole thing. And I'm trying to fight between what packs I use for what. Because like I said, I like the industrial loft stuff, but I just felt it was a little bit too clean for this build. Now, the basement treasures kit, on the other hand, was absolutely perfect. I know that the basement treasures is a bit niche, but for me in particular, I use it quite a lot. I love these broken, dilapidated objects. So I used a lot of that kit in this build as well. And I kind of fight with the cardboard dance floor a lot. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to put it, so we'll be popping that around. That'll be teleporting around. I cut out a lot of indecision in this build. I think this build took me maybe somewhere between 3 to 4 hours. I think a lot of my builds tend to take that long, partially because I tend to stop and do other things as I'm going, or I tend to talk or watch videos and all that stuff. I'm a very slow builder. So I shoved a little kitchen kind of in that little nook. I remembered I wanted the outdoor trash can with the graffiti on it because it's just absolutely perfect for this place. And you're gonna notice that I didn't put a stove. Don't worry, I do fix that. Maybe not in the video, but when I was playtesting it back, I did notice and I did fix it, so I do apologize. I've been trying to be more serious about playtesting my builds before I post them online. I played a full in-game week in this building, and I did fix some things, move some things. If there was any routing issues, I did fix them and whatnot. So it is totally playable. This is up on the gallery. You can find me on the gallery as Pinky Dragon 01, just like as I am here, and it is up for download. And I did keep the kits and the packs and all that stuff I use well under control. I don't know how many this used. Not too many, maybe like 5 or something like that. You'll see it at the end when we do the walkthrough. But I'm doing more moving, trying to figure out where to put everything. That's where I decided to put the dance floor, and I have the stereo facing outward. And of course you gotta include the Wildfang's guitar because it's just absolutely perfect. And then I remembered that because we're in a factory, I finally get to use these spandrels that I never get to use. So I was kind of happy to finally use the factory support spandrels and support beams and all that stuff. And this loft area ended up being very, very open. I tried to cut it up into rooms, but it just wasn't working, not with the windows, and I did not want to change my window placement. I kind of fought with it. So I decided to make it just a giant communal living situation. There's just beds everywhere of different kinds. So the dirty double was absolutely perfect from Eco Lifestyle. Of course, the werewolf bunk beds, and then the industrial loft bed. So there's a lot of different places a sim can sleep here. A lot of places for people to be able to come in, maybe stay a few nights and leave as they will. It feels very Wildfang to kind of set it up in this way. So this is kind of like a giant shared bedroom. I also managed to shove the game table up here. I've been tending to use the game table a lot more in my builds recently because I feel like it's just really fun to have sims all sit together and kind of play games together and do a little bit of social interaction, increase the relationships a bit while having fun. Like, sure, you can do that at the TV, but you can't like easily make other sims watch TV with you. Not in The Sims 4 like you used to. With the game table, I feel like it's a lot easier to get strangers and like visitors to sit down and hang out with you and the such. So I'm pasting down a few of the awesome wall decorations. Sorry, brain. I'm placing a lot of the wall decorations down. I love this little one that can swatch to so many different things. The one with like the guy and the werewolf behind him is one of my absolute favorites, so I had to put it somewhere. And I just want to, there's just so much that I wanted to shove into this build where it, funny enough, suddenly felt too small, despite the massive size of it. But don't worry, like I said, I didn't clutter it up too bad. So I'm just kind of like jumping around an awful lot. I do apologize. I'm mostly filtering the catalog, and when I find something that I want to use, I'm just jumping to the place I want to put it, and then I'm putting it down. I used to build by room an awful lot before, like I would focus completely on the kitchen, and then I would focus completely on the living room. But I used to do that without filtering, so I ended up using like tons and tons of packs and stuff like that, and I'm trying to make more builds that are a little bit more accessible and whatnot, that don't have like a stupid price tag attached to them. So filtering the catalog by what packs I'm using kind of helps a little bit with deciding what to put where, but it also makes me jump around an awful lot. So I do apologize that I'm like switching between every room frantically to place down like a single object. We're getting a lot of furnishing put down though. I put down some of those cute little floor scratches near the dance floor because I thought it'd be kind of fun if werewolves were maybe like breakdancing or something like that and they scratched up the floor. Placing the cabinets that I forgot earlier. And then now I'm sorting by the basement treasures, which again, I love this kit so much. I know it's circumstantial and not everyone's going to use it for everything, but I tend to use it actually a lot. So I'm just going through the entire basement catalog and I'm making sure I use everything, something, somewhere. Tons of like broken appliances and little knickknacks. And this bed, I did decide to kind of like shove it underneath the staircase because it really fills in that empty void under the stairs. And the stairs are totally functional, which I'm super happy about. So you don't have to worry about Sims not routing up there correctly. And I'm just trying to shove a bunch of clutter everywhere. It's definitely one of my favorite clutter kits. They came out with multiple clutter kits, like they have the everyday clutter and then the bathroom one. And I think I've started to use those in literally every single build. Like if you're thinking about which kits are worth buying, which ones are not, I would say everyday clutter and bathroom clutter are like must-haves. They're only $5 and I use them all the time. I'm a sucker for clutter. And like I said, basement treasures is actually kind of fun, especially if you like making abandoned builds a lot like I do. So I'm just kind of placing around little bits, like the toilet paper and, little knickknacks here and there that kind of make the place feel a little bit more alive. Just like boxes of stuff and cups and like the workout sippy bottles. Oh yeah, now I'm sorting by industrial loft and I found this rug and I love this rug so much. I love that brown swatch, but I fought with it a little bit. It felt like it was too busy to put in certain places, but I did find a spot for it. But I do really like it, and I love the little terrarium. I love terrariums in general. I think they're super cute. I've made one before too, and it was actually a really fun experience. And this like planter box fit perfectly in with all the rest of the eco lifestyle stuff. I feel like Industrial Loft plays nicer with the eco lifestyle build than it does werewolves. But they did have like this ventilation system here that was just like a must-have for a factory build. So I was able to at least pop this in a little bit here and through the kitchen and through the bathroom. And they had like a nice swatch that was perfect. That was like a little bit like mussed up a little bit, not so clean. And the lights were pretty good for the build as well. So yeah, like I said, more jumping around, more trying to figure out like where to put everything. And I'm finally putting in the floors and the walls. Lately, I've been putting floors and walls more later into builds. Like I'll figure out the furniture first and then I do the walls and the floor. Because a lot of times I found back then when I would start with the walls and floor, I felt like I was struggling to make the furniture fit the walls and floor without changing the walls and floor. So I almost kind of like restricted my creative freedom. So doing it this way has actually helped me an awful lot. And I did remember to paint the ceilings. I haven't been remembering to do that very well lately, especially since that's more of a recent-ish update. I don't know how recent that actually was, but I'm remembering to paint the ceilings now. I'm trying to be better about that. And now I'm going through and I think I'm just kind of doing last minute touches here and there, just like observing every room, thinking about what I really want to fix, making small adjustments here and there, really focusing on the walls and such, just tiny bits. And then I remembered that because this place is abandoned, I probably wanted to include a little bit of wear and tear into the build as well. So I'm putting a lot of the werewolf cracks and scratches around a little bit where I can. Apparently the cracks can go on top of rugs, which was kind of surprising, and they did go on top of the dance floor. So I popped those on top just to make it look a little bit more like it was scratched up from the dancing. Figuring out my rugs. Rugs are usually like a last minute thing I do now since I save flooring for last. And just kind of fighting with the color swatches an awful lot. But all in all, I'm very satisfied with how this build turned out. I'm very happy with it. I had a lot of fun playing in it. The funny thing is I made 4 werewolves to playtest in this build and I had them all live together. And it was kind of funny having them all fight over the bathroom so much because there's only one bathroom but so many bed space. But I mean, werewolves can mark territory outside, so it's all good. So went through and deleted all the tiny little lights that were kind of lighting it up and then making sure to put in new ones. And I think we're about to the end of this. I'm definitely towards the end of last minute touches. But yeah, I think that is the end of the speed build, so I'm going to pop into live mode and give you a tour. So here we are in live mode back at the factory. I got the Wildfangs, Rory and Lou out here with 2 others that I had made to join the pack, and I have them moved into the lot. So we have some pretty nice landscaped outside with, of course, the werewolf mailbox and this little outside light that doesn't actually work, but I think that kind of adds to the charm of the place, if you would. It looks like my terrain paint is gone. Oh no, are you kidding me? It's the terrain paint glitch again! Can't believe The Sims is making me do this. Alright, I went and fixed it. My gosh, I can't believe it keeps doing that to me. Has it happened to any of you, like at all? It feels like it's just me sometimes. But anyway, through the back we have our outdoor trash can, some workout equipment, our bonfire, bunch of trash and our recycler, and of course a fire exit and access to the second floor. Through here we have our entrance, which I absolutely love seeing this so much. It's one of my favorite things. With some nice seating arrangements and just like a little bit of like stuff haphazardly strewn about. And when you walk in, we have this general living area with tons of seating and the little dinky TV. We have a stereo that's facing back towards the dance floor over here, the Wildfang's guitar, a dartboard, and there's some nice decorations on this back wall as well with all the nice posters. I added a really old computer here in the back. Through the werewolf door, we have our self-sufficiency stuff like the juice fizzer, a candle maker, a bar for practicing mixology, and some of these vertical garden planters that I've already kind of put some stuff into, like grapes and soy and strawberries. Back here you can see where a lot of the old junk is that they still haven't gotten to and just kind of forgot about. Back here we have a bit more garbage and our dining space. The kitchen with the stove that I told you that I would remember to put in. Tiny little bathroom full of all our nice little knickknacks. This wonderful broken mirror I love, and I put a tarp just kind of like draped over here. This is like one of the only windows with a curtain on it. Upstairs, we get up to the loft with the general living area with all of the beds, some wardrobes, a game table, and then the empty relic shelf. A lot of times I like to leave this werewolf relic shelf empty just in case you want to go and find all the collectibles yourself. Then from the ladder here brings you to the rooftop access with the werewolf door that Agnes somehow mysteriously got past. We have more planter boxes, all of these solar panels, and these are the kinds that don't break, so you don't have to worry about fixing these. We do have the scrapper dew collectors that might have to be repaired from time to time, Evelina's telescope, and like a little chair just in case you want to sit out here and enjoy the view with the rest of Moonwood Mill. And that's mostly it. Despite being rather large build, it's still very simple. Like there's just enough going on for this to be a really nice place to live, but not too much that it's gonna like lag and cause problems with your game, as far as I'm concerned. So you can find me on the gallery as PinkyDragon01, and the build is now uploaded for you to download, Werewolf Factory Home. It's a party place with a convivial spirit, and then reduce and recycle lot challenge, and it doesn't use too many packs either. We used Eco Lifestyle, Get Together, Werewolves, Dine Out. I don't remember what I used for Dine Out. It must be something small. It's probably something really, really small. Basement Treasures, Bathroom Clutter, Everyday Clutter, and Industrial Loft. So that's there for you if you want to play with this lot. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed the build. I definitely enjoyed playing in it, and maybe you'll enjoy playing in it as well. Feel free to give the video a like if you would like, and maybe even subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!